In this video, we're going to be looking at addition and subtraction, this time using the algorithm, the vertical algorithm. Our learning intentions are to learn to add larger numbers and also to learn to subtract larger numbers using the algorithm, and a success criteria that we can add large numbers by applying a vertical algorithm and also subtract large numbers by applying a vertical algorithm. So addition and subtraction using the vertical algorithm. So when we need to add numbers to either add or subtract without technology, i.e. without a calculator, it's hard when those numbers get a bit bigger, and certainly hard to do that in our head. So we would like to do that using a format that makes it very clear as to how we've gone about things. So we would usually do what we call a vertical algorithm. So we have an example here where we have 32,458 plus 1,248. So that's not very easy for us to do in our heads. We could do it just like we see it here using some other strategies, but let's learn how to use the vertical algorithm. So we start by writing the first number of the equation, and here we have it 32,458. Now we write the second number underneath the first one. And the important part here is to make sure that we keep all the place values lined up, starting with our units. So we can see here that we have the units clearly lined up together, the tens clearly lined up together, the hundreds, the thousands, and the tens of thousands, although of course there isn't anything for the tens of thousands here in the second number. But it's very, very important that we keep all of those place values lined up. After we've written out the numbers, we should add the symbol or the sign for the operation we're doing, which is in this case is a plus. And we should also add a line underneath, which indicates where our answer will go. Now we start by adding up the units first, or the ones. So we've added 8 plus 8, and we've got a total of 16. Now we write the 6 in the units column, but the tens, so the 10 of that 16 has to go into the tens column. So we bring it up into the next column here, and you can see I've written it neatly underneath the tens, so that's very clear. Sometimes people might write it up the top, especially if you didn't leave room at the bottom, but either way, so long as you keep it in line with the tens or the next place value up, it will still work. We're now going to add the next values up, so we'll be adding the 5, the 4, but we'll also not forget to include the 1. So 5 and 4 is 9, of course, and 1 makes 10. So again, we write the 0 of the 10 down in our tens column, and we bring the tens part of that up to the next place value. So anything above 9 has to go up into the next place value. So here we're going to be adding 4 and 2 and 1. So when we do that, of course, that's 7. So there's nothing to bring up this time because we didn't go over 10. So just write the 7 in there. We're going to do the next column, so 2 and 1, which of course is 3. So again, writing that in, there's nothing extra to bring up. And this last one's going to be 3, and we've got nothing there. It's the same as saying 0, but we don't write a 0 because we don't have zeros at the front of numbers. So 3 and nothing, of course, is 3. So we write our final 3 there. So we have 33,706 as our answer. We should draw a line underneath again to show that the answer is complete. So it's like our big equals if you want to look at it that way. So our vertical algorithm is done. We have the first number, the second number, we have each of the place values clearly kept in line, and they are easy to see. Okay, we have our numbers where we have to bring up a number to the next place value because when we added the column it was bigger than 10, or bigger than 9 I should say, and we can see where we've done that. So everything is there to clearly show how this equation has been solved. Let's look at the same sort of algorithm with a subtraction. So the starting point is the same. We write out both numbers, one underneath the other, making sure that we keep them in the right order. Remember, we cannot change the numbers around for subtraction. We have to do them in the order that they were given. Again, put a line underneath to show where our answer is going to go, and don't forget to put the operation symbol, so that the takeaway sign in there as well. Same idea, but instead of adding, of course, we're going to subtract. So we're going to subtract 3 from 9. So the second number from the top number. So 9 take away 3 is going to give us a value of 6. So we're going to end up writing a 6 underneath the units. We then go up to the next place value. So 1 taken away from 1 will, of course, give us 0. And now we're up to the hundreds unit column. But this is a little bit tricky now. So what we have is 4 trying to be taken away from 3. Now, of course, we can't do that. We can't go into negatives. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up borrowing from the next place value up. So we're going to end up borrowing from this 2 here that's in the thousands column to bring it back to make this number bigger. So what we do is we cross out the 2 and put a 1 above it, so it's 1 less than it is now, and we put a 1 now in the column before. So this top number now is a 13, and of course we can take 4 away from 13. So 4 taken away from 13, of course, is 9. So that is the answer for that column. And of course, the last bit is we've got nothing technically taken away from 1 now. Don't forget, this is a 1 now. That's why it's important to cross out when we borrow. So it's a 1. So nothing taken away from 1, of course, will give us 1. And just like before, we should draw a line underneath to show that our answer is complete. So 2,319 take away 413 is 1,906. And in both of these situations, you can double check these with a calculator if you'd like, as part of your learning, but it's important that you make sure that you do the vertical algorithm and show all the working out as you do it. Let's have a look at 2 sample questions just to have a go with each of the steps. So the first one says solve 1,245 plus 936. So of course it's an addition, so we're going to start by writing the 2 numbers out. So we have 1,245 and then we have 936. I'm making sure that all my place value columns line up. I'm putting the addition symbol there and I'm drawing a line underneath to show where my answer will go. I start by adding up my units, so I'm going to have 6 plus 5, which is 11. So I write the 1 from the 11 there, and I'm carrying 1 up. So I've got 11 in total. 4 plus 3, the next column, so 4 plus 3 is 7. Don't forget to count the 1 that we carried up is 8. So I'm going to write that in that column there. Nothing to carry up this time. 9 and 2, of course, is 11. So again, I'm going to write a 1 here and a 1 here. And of course, now I'm adding up the largest place value column. 1 plus 0, technically, there's nothing there, but not forgetting the 1 that we just carried up, which gives us an answer of 2, and draw a line underneath to say I'm done. So 1,245 plus 936 is 2,181. Let's have a look at a subtraction. So again, the first part is to make sure we understand what the problem asks us to do, which is to solve this or find the answer. It's a subtraction, so we can't mix up the numbers. We can't move them around at all. So we'll start by writing it out. So 1,245, and we're taking away 936, so writing it in, making sure we keep all our place value columns accurate, putting in our subtraction sign and putting our line underneath to show where the answer will go. So we start with our units column, 6 taken away from 5. So straight away we can't do that, so we have to borrow from the next column up. So we're going to cross out our 4 and make that into a 3. And we're going to bring 1 down here, the one that we're borrowing, which now makes our unit 6 taken away from 15. So 6 taken away from 15, of course, is 9. So we'll put that in our units column. Now let's look at our tens. So 3 not taken away 4, it's 3 taken away from 3 now because we have borrowed from this already. So 3 from 3, of course, leaves 0, so we'll write that in. Now we go to the next column up, so it's 9 taken away from 2, which again you can't do, so we're going to borrow from the next one up. So we're going to cross this out, and don't forget to write the 0. So 1 less than what it was, so 1 take away 1 of course is 0, and we put the 1 that we borrowed here. So now we've got 9 taken away from 12, which we can certainly do, that is 3. And now we still technically have 0 taken away from 0 now. So of course 0 from 0 is nothing. We don't write a 0 here now because we don't in decimal have zeros at the front of numbers. So in fact our equation is done and we can draw our line to indicate that, and we have finished that equation. So 1245 take away 936 is 309.